It's the legendary Musburger.
You are looking at the Los Angeles Coliseum.
Christopher Mad Dog Russo.
What you can't understand about this? It's pretty obvious.
These two icons will put their talents to the test each week as they go head-to-head and duke it out for gridiron supremacy. You can hear My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger weekdays from 6 to 8 Eastern on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM 204.
How are you, my friend? Are you howling, Mad Dog? You sounded good, man.
And you can hear Christopher Mad Dog Russo weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM 82.
For you to sit there is ridiculous. Nobody wants to hear this.
The lines are moving and the money is flying.
Show me the money!
Let the battle begin. Here they are. It's Mad Dog and Musburger.
Yes, indeed, for our Friday segment. Now, Brent went to Cincinnati with the Raiders, but that's fine because I have my buddy Vinny in the place. And Vinny and I will have some fun this week. By the way, for the records, I beat Brent by a game. 2-1 to 1-2. Very close. I'm a game under Brent's 3 over with about 3 weeks to go plus postseason. Has my main man, Vinny. Vinny, how are you today, pal?
Mad Dog, how are you, buddy? It was good to see you and spend Sunday with you. I hope you enjoyed being with us.
I loved every minute of it. And Vinny and I spent time together with all his fellas there, Chris and
Jimmy.
It was just great. And that was last Sunday. And I did take the Chargers last night, Vin.
Good for you.
At Mandalay Bay, I grabbed on the Chargers before I got on a plane. That is the break of all time in that spot. Did you guys get hurt by the Chargers on the money line? How about the house last night in the Charger-Chief game? Let me hear.
Good question, Mad Dog. Yeah, that game was a good game for the last night. Now, even though the majority of the straight bet, if you will, at 3 were on the, there was money line action on the Chargers, and the other part of it, as you know, people love to bet overs, and the game went over. Every bet yesterday, every parlay was to the over last night. So, hey, we tip our cap to you and the folks at Cash.
Boy, the over. You got hurt with the over.
Yeah.
Based on the idea. The game was 28-21, 8 seconds to go. Mm-hmm. So you were going to cover that. The over was 52, wasn't that, Vin?
Yeah. It was actually, you know what? It got as high as 54.5 and spots 55, Mad Dog. Yeah. So
you should see these folks, fans out there on Sunday. I spent all Sunday, well, good part of Sunday with them in their little convention hall, and how these guys, how they go out there and set the lines at the half and do all those things. And as Vinny will explain, they don't root for teams. Vinny, you root for numbers as far as these games are concerned, correct?
Great point, Mad Dog. Yeah, what we do is, and again, so here's the thing about teams and numbers. Professional bettors bet teams. They don't have favorite teams. Bet price. They bet numbers. And in our business, we do is we wait for to come in. Now, there are times we need certain results, obvious, but there are certain numbers. For last week, a great example, which firsthand was the Cowboys game. I did not need that game to fall. It was exactly 3. Like it might have happened, and a lucky bounce went the Cowboy for the winning score and over. So yeah, it's a professionals betting / prices in our world. What was monitoring and the results not to fall on or near certain numbers.
Folks, what Vinny is there, that 3.5 line on the Cowboys, they needed the Cowboys not to win by a field goal.
Yep.
Because then they pushed the teams that took the Eagles at 3, and they get pounded at 3.5. So on third down, when Cooper scored that touchdown, Vinny put a big hand up in the sky, and I can live another day. Is that correct, Vin?
Yeah, we lived to book another day. Yes. Exactly, Matt. Yeah, what would happen in that game was the majority of the money on the Eagles came in at plus 3.5, and the majority of the money on the Cowboys was when they were 3-point favorites. So it would have resulted in a push. Everybody that bet the Cowboys gets their money back, or reverts down to a lower parlay bet, or in the case of the Eagles, they cash. So yeah.
All right. So that was fascinating. And a couple of things before we do Vinny's picks, and I'll do a little college football. Vinny said that the smart bettor always takes the occasional under. and I took the under of the Lions-Arizona game. I should have taken the under of Seattle, but I didn't want to sit there all night rooting for tackles as I did the day before. And Vinny, why don't you explain that? The smart guy, the gambler, he understands that once in a while you got to run at some unders with the point totals. Give him some thoughts on that. Go ahead.
Good point, man, dog. Yeah, well, it's very hard, right, to watch and root for defense, right? Let's face it. I mean, when you look at all the rules adjustments they can place in all sports, really, they favor them. People love that. People love to a ball. You're a base Matt. You wouldn't mind a game and being a no-hitter, right? Pitching matchup. Today, people want to see runs. They want to see scoring. And in the case of these games, you got to pick your spots. Wow, you were last week, the Lions-Cardinals game, injuries, a team that were having difficult scoring as the Cardinals of the year. If you're going to be successful in wagers, particularly on goals, you're going to get involved in goals, then you need, as a bettor, to pick spots and some unders. It may seem, just like in terms of betting, in terms of betting teams, if you will, certain numbers, not only bettors, but I mean, you've got to be able to bet dogs. You've got to be willing to bet under sometime too.
Now, let's explain to the audience what I got going here, because Vinny advised me what I should do, and I took his advice. With the fat guy Rob, Father Rob there, we know Father, with the fat belts and everything else. We took the Patriots. I like to have fun with them. We took the Patriots before the season started at 11.5, the under.
Under 11.5.
Now, lo and behold, we got the break of all time. It's almost like a gift from heaven. On the last play in the Miami game, as Vinny knows, I stood up and went nuts when they went down the field there on the last play. So I said to myself, I got them at 4 losses. I got Buffalo and the Jets the next 2 weeks, and they play those games in Foxborough. I can't assume that the Patriots are going to lose that game, and they're going to be big favorites, so it's hard to lay off that game.
Correct.
You can't lay off the bet if they're a 10-point favorite. It's harder. Vinny and I discussed this, and once the Roethlisberger line came out when it was 1 or 2, and I got it at 2, Vin.
Good.
I said to Vinny, I got to lay off this Patriot bet, and he said, yes, you have to. It's a good move, smart better. So you're like this, Vin. I had a parlay to work with that I forgotten about. An open parlay. I had won the first half. You guys don't do that. Some places do, some places don't. My guy does. So I had an open parlay. So I put the close on New England at -2.
Okay.
Which means I can win 2.5 if the Patriots win and get half my bet back. And if the Patriots lose, I win the other side of the bet. The only negative is if they only win a 1-point game. So I thought that was a smart play from a bettor's perspective. Let me hear your take. Go ahead.
Well, let's talk about that game specifically. So you laid Patriots with the Steelers. Yeah. You've got to look at the game, and we're going to talk a little bit about it in the next segment. Because here's what you're adjusting. You're in the driver's seat because you know exactly what the remainder of the schedule is. This figures to be their toughest game, right? At least on paper. Now, the other part of it is this. Who do you trust to make adjustments in this game after both teams, both coaches, by their own admission, really made some gaffes last week that probably impacted the game, maybe cost their team the game. So in a game like this, who do you trust to really come back and make the adjustments that are necessary? And then, of course, you take into consideration the fact that in this matchup where the Patriots have done and had success, particularly in recent years, against the Steelers, right? So you trust Belichick here. So you're in the driver's seat there.
Now, do you think it's risky because I could lose if it's 21-20, or do you think that's a risk you have to take?
Well, yeah, that's a risk you got to take. Listen, it's not like you're laying a ton of points on the road. You're not laying more than 3 on the road. You're not laying a touchdown, certainly. And, again, you've still got 2 other games, Mad Dog. You got a situation, too, where depending on what the numbers are, what comes out and how they come out of this game, you could take points.
I still want Pittsburgh to win because I have 2 other chances to get a Patriot loss, and you never know. So the idea would still be root for Pittsburgh to win the game, correct?
Yeah, because you've got the under, and then you figure they're going to be, they're going to be a situation where the Patriots are going to be big in their next games against the Jets.
But maybe they don't need 1 game. Maybe Brady gets hurt. They want to treat the game as a bye week, and the line goes lower, and I can lay it off that way. So that's the reason why I still want Pittsburgh to win. Correct?
Or if Brady's in the game and they're big favorite, maybe you take points in the game and you got a shot to win the game and they cover. You got points to work with there. It's not like you're betting on them to,
You can get that could be a double whammy though. That's the one negative on that.
It could be if there's a blowout. Yeah.
But you think I made the right call here?
I think you did fine. Especially with an open. By the way, with folks know, so an open bet, an open parlay is what's referred to as a kind of like a call bet, if you will, an if come. Unfortunately, here in the state, it's not allowed by regulation. But good for you if you had the opportunity to do it. Good for you.
Oh, so it's not allowed in the state of Nevada.
That is correct.
An open parlay bet in Nevada, you cannot do. I didn't know that.
An if come wager, it must be posted at the time. The numbers have to be posted at the time of the wager. So let's face it. During the games last week, the games for this week weren't posted yet. They were posted after.
So I could not have done that last Sunday.
Correct.
Right. But I can't open a parlay and go 5 weeks down the road and close it. I got to do it right then and there, correct?
If it's posted, yes. So in the case of these bowl games, sure, every bowl game is up. You can bet.
I can do that. Okay. Are you going to get any activity in the bowl games tomorrow or not?
Yes.
5 games. These are small games. People get into it, or what's the story about that?
I'll tell you why we will. Because don't forget, tomorrow there's 2 NFL games, right? And even though they're not phenomenal games, one of the games happens to be. Look, they're going to get action. The Texans and the Jets, and the Texans can wrap up the division, and the Jets came back with a miracle of their own last week. You got the Browns, who have become one of the more popular betting choices by the public this year, going against the Broncos, who are in a desperate situation. So the fact of the matter is, you've got those 2 games, Mad Dog, going to the start of the bowl season, because the other part of it is this. Folks will take these bowl games and these games tomorrow, and as I mentioned earlier, they'll start to put them towards the rest of the bowl schedule. Plus, we've got a special card out here where you can pick. It's a $5 card. You make 15 selections during the course of the bowl season, and it's a jackpot parlay card. No point spreads. So there's a lot of ways to go about it. And
so if you get all 15 right,
you get all 15,
and you win. How much do you win?
It's a $25,000 that the South Point is putting up. Anything above that goes above that. So everything above the $25,000 by increments of $5 on these cards, and you can enter as many times as you want, will increase the jackpot. I think we got up last year to over 40.
Wow, that's tremendous.
So,
all right, Vinny, let's do the picks. I go first this week because obviously I beat Brent, so let me get it started. Go quickly here. And I'm going to take the Giants at 2.5. This is another play I made before I left too, Vin. I just think the Giants are going to beat Tennessee. I don't like the Titans on the road, number one. They have an inconsistent offense. We all know that. Now, no Beckham, so I'm a little concerned here. I didn't know that when I made the play. But it's only 2.5. It's not 3. Giants are playing well. Barkley's great. I think there's a little juice that they're not out of it yet, if you can imagine that. They still can hang on to that hope. Shermer's got him going a little bit. Offensive line playing well. I think it's a good play. Giants minus 2.5 is the game number 1 here in week 15 for me.
Yep, solid. And, there's a couple of games haunting them, right? As recent the Philly game and, of course, that game down in Carolina. But mathematically not out of it. They're in a better spot, actually, than the Eagles. So solid by you there. Brent's going to go with the first pick. The Colts, minus 3. The Cowboys have been the NFC East all but wrapped up, Mad Dog, let's face it. But they do have some players that are ailing, including Sean Lee, Ezekiel Elliott. They got a couple of bodies on the offensive line that are not going to play. Colts have been terrific, right? 6 of 7 games that they've won over the last month and a half. Andrew Luck and T.Y. Hilton performing as the most dangerous pass and catch duo for the last month. Colts, minus 3, Brent's first pick.
All right, I was going to take that. Brent steals it from me. All right, number 2, I'm going to take that. Good job by Brent. I'm going to take the Raiders. I'm going to put the whammy on Brent. I'm going to take the Raiders in Cincinnati. They're getting 3. I like the way the Raiders are playing right now in Cincinnati, although competitive last week, can't win. Raiders good against Pittsburgh. Obviously competitive against Kansas City. I know it's, cold weather, we'll see, but I think there's a little spirit with the Raider team right now. I think Gruden's got them finishing the season well. He'll point to that Chief game at the end to really make their year. I'll take the Raiders getting 3 in Cincinnati, game number 2.
Well, Brent may be flying across country right now. He got that Wi-Fi on the plane, and there's a smile on his face at 35,000 feet.
Good boy. Good boy by Brent. Go ahead.
All right, we're going to go, as I mentioned earlier, Brent's going to go with the Patriots minus 2.5, Mad Dog. Listen, both teams let one slip away last week, as I mentioned. But you got to credit the Dolphins and the Raiders, let's face it. But coaching miscues, I'm going to go back to that point. Both coaches admittedly probably made some mistakes. Who do you trust to make adjustments, particularly in a matchup that they've done pretty well with over the last couple of years. Controversy last year with the catch or no catch rule worked against the Steelers. We know that again with Jesse James. But this week, Belichick makes the adjustments. Looks like Connor, if he does play, not 100% for the Steelers. Patriots for Brent, minus 2.5.
All right, and my last one, Vinny, is going to be Green Bay. I think they're going to finally be very competitive on the road. They haven't won a road game yet all year. I think Rodgers wants to prove to people that it wasn't his fault that McCarthy got fired, so he'd play hard for Philbin. Bears have to be a little flat after playing the Rams so tough on Sunday night and winning. That was a huge game for them. They don't have to worry about the division. I know it's weird to say the Bears will overlook Green Bay, but I'll take Green Bay and I'll take the 6.
Yep.
Rodgers 6 points against the Bears I'm going to take. Green Bay plus 6 is my third game.
I like the pick, Mad Dog. You know, here you listen, you're going to get the better quarterback, and with him there, they're never out of it. Terrific defense by the Bears, but a solid pick. When you get Rodgers plus points, always value there. All right, we're going to go with one more here. Brent's last pick. Believe it or not, the Bills minus 2.5. Lions offense is very beat up, while the Bills let one get away themselves last week to the Jets. Risky going with a team, the losing record, but let's face it, this is as much a play on the healthier team. In this case, the Bills. Lions don't have a winning record either, but I like what we see more with a healthier Bills team at home at a cheap price. The Bills for Brent, number 3 at minus 2.5.
All right, well done, Vinny. I'll be out there soon. Thanks for the hospitality. You know, we love you. We'll talk to you and Brent next Friday. Thanks very much today. Appreciate it.
You got it. Take care, Mad Dog. All right. Well, listen. You heard the picks by Mad Dog Russo. New York Giants minus 2.5. The Raiders plus 3. Packers plus 6. Brent went with the Colts minus 3. The Patriots minus 2.5, and the Bills minus 2.5 this week, week 15. We'll be back right after this break. Mad Dog and Musburger. Vinny Magliulo sitting in for Brent Musburger. How about this, Jorge? I get to sit in for Brent. It's like somebody saying, hey, by the way, Kershaw can't go today, Vinny. Start getting loose. Go ahead.
How's your arm feeling right now?
Feel good. I still got a couple of good innings in me.
Hey, Vinny, so you had Mad Dog in here. What was that experience like for him, seeing it through his eyes? Because he's not usually here in Vegas for games, so what is it like for a person who's not here to experience it?
Well, as you heard in some of his questions and his comments, and he's very astute. First of all, he was great to have. He was very entertaining, very funny and informative. It was good exchange. You know, so from a bettor's perspective, it's always good. We enjoy. I say we. Jimmy Vaccaro, Chris Andrews, we'd love to sit with people that are betting a lot of times because you know you get to feel what they're feeling, and it's important to understand that when you're booking. A lot of people may find that surprising, but by the same token, he enjoyed it. He was a lot of fun. He got to take away, as you could tell, our perspective and what we look at and things like that. And he was very astute. He paid attention. You could tell he was paying attention and watching what we do and how we do it. But you know what? Look, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed having him there, and I look forward to him being back with us again. So, but let's do this, Jorge. Let's recount what he did because his picks this week. Again, Christopher Mad Dog Russo going head-to-head with Brent Musburger for the season. He went with the Giants minus 2.5 this week. The Raiders plus 3, which I'm sure will bring a smile to Brent's face in Cincinnati. And the Packers in Chicago plus the 6. Brent's picks this week. The Colts at home against the Cowboys as 3-point favorites. Patriots in Pittsburgh minus 2.5. And the Bills at home minus 2.5.
Big weekend of football coming up. Which game do you think will have the most action?
Well, the biggest handle will take, it'll be the Patriots and Steelers, I think, because it's a 125 game. Now, the game that may have the most exposure, if you will, or decision will be the Eagles-Rams because it's the late game at 5:20. So, but yeah, we're looking forward to that. And then the Saints-Panthers on Monday night, standalone game, and early it'll be probably the Cowboys-Colts. So, listen, we'll be back at the top of the hour with a Ron Flatter update from the South Point VSiN Studios, Mad Dog and Musburger.